Yeah, I'm really fun in conversation now. I'm really fun at parties, really normal in conversations. That's why I'm here on YouTube trying to find you. It starts to feel like anything could be true. And like, I really don't know what to believe anymore. I've been living in this sort of headspace for a long time, and I just need to do something different. So, my question is now what? Where do we actually go from here? If anyone from my real life ever sees these videos and hears me say that, they'll be like, yeah, that's for sure. That's not AI. That's for sure Cassie. My name is Cassie, by the way. And I tend to always think it's going to be, something bad. But it's not coming through here. But I am an optimist. I'm a very optimistic person. But anyway, um, yeah, but I just have all these dark thoughts that I don't know what to do with. So I guess I'm not going to cut that out. But it's a weird way to introduce myself to you guys. The world is not as it seems and does not operate in the ways that we were told that it does. You and I have made discovery of countless lies that have been told to us our entire lives and been left to wonder if anything that we ever even learned growing up was true. Some of those things have been fun to think about. Giants, like how many places have they really been found? And is the Smithsonian collecting their bones, like hiding them away somewhere? Or are all the T Rex bones that we have actually dragons? Like those are the fun things to think about. But when you get into the conspiracies that are much more serious and have much more massive human consequences, and you really start to think about those things and what they mean, and you're in a place like I am, of where your trust for all of our systems has totally been blown up by the real-time lies that have been told to you, um, and that have actually affected your life. When you're in that place, and you see these other stories, it really starts to feel dark around here. It starts to feel like anything could be true, and like I really don't know what to believe anymore. I've been living in this sort of headspace for a long time, and I just need to do something different. So my question is, now what? Where do we actually go from here? If we really believe even half the things that we've found, and even half of the stories that we've found, where the mainstream narrative was obviously not true. Maybe not every conspiracy detail that we have found out about them is true, but how would we know? Because they lie and they hide everything. So how are we supposed to really know? So if we really, really believe that these evil things can have taken place and been hidden for so long, and we really believe that we're being gaslit all the time about all of these things that affect our lives. Where do we actually go from here? Do we have to sacrifice awareness just for sanity? Do we have to be cynical if we want to be informed? Or is there another way? Hoping there's another way. We've all been going down all the rabbit holes for some amount of time. For me, it's been about 5 years. It's 2026 now. So about 5 years ago, the Schmovich vaccine was being pushed way too hard. And that woke me up. That was the thing that woke me up to all the other things that I found out that I didn't believe. Maybe you're new. Maybe you're just getting here and you're like, oh my gosh, how am I supposed to even take all this in? Or maybe you've been here for decades and you've just been waiting for the rest of us to join you and wake up. But no matter how long it's been, honestly, it kind of sucks. It's not always fun. The things are not fun to learn. Um, the psyops that we are subjected to are very strong, and they're very effective, and they're ubiquitous. I mean, everywhere, all the time. It feels like I'm starting to really go back, in my mind to many things that, were events during my childhood, or, or now if I like any random subject gets brought up with a group of people, I'm like, "Oh, do I do I really think that's what happened now? I don't know. Maybe what if it was this thing, or maybe the agenda was this thing." Yeah, I'm really fun in conversation now. I'm really fun at parties, really normal in conversations. That's why I'm here on YouTube trying to find you. Okay. So that my point is, when you start to see it, you can't unsee it. And that part really sucks because you can't just be blissfully ignorant anymore. I remember being that way. I totally remember 2019 and before, like my whole life before that. It just seemed so much simpler. There was so much less to think about. Um, Back in the days, in the 90s, when we were learning out of Ghislaine Maxwell's dad's textbooks, when we were learning that we live in a free market economy, right? A merit-based free economy where you work hard enough, you go to school, you can do anything you want, you can be anything you want. You can be the president. Okay? Remember that? I remember learning that justice is blind. Same law for everybody. I remember learning that we are always the good guys in the world, everywhere, in everything that we do. Yet now, what I see with my eyes is that we have an elite class that has completely free reign over the lower and middle classes. We are totally subject to the things that they want to make money on. They never go to jail for anything, ever. The government protects them, as as evidenced by the Schmepstein schmiles. And then foreign alliances, particularly one, which one, currently making us party to actual atrocities that if we had learned about that in a history book in the 90s, they would have been bad guys. And that's what they're doing right now in front of our faces, and we are funding it and allied with them in war. Also, what I see, equally scary, AI bros, tech bros, just casually discussing reimagining the entire function of the human race, so they can use their tech in place of, I don't know, little things like human labor and creativity. Oh, maybe we should do away with everyone's jobs, and we should do a universal basic income so that everyone can just make money for doing nothing. But, the money will always come from us, and it'll always be a set amount, and it probably will be just enough to keep you like surviving, but maybe not thriving in the ways that you want to be thriving. But also, you're going to have all this free time and all this free money. So I'm sure people will be strong willed enough not to spiral down into their worst habits with all the time they have on their hands. I'm sure they'll just be more creatively productive, right? Have we thought about this? Yeah, they have. They know what it's going to turn into. And yet here we all are, just still talking about Chat GPT. Like that's the future of AI. It isn't. It's not. We need to be thinking about this. We need to be talking about this all the time. You're talking about changing the function of the human race within, what do they say, like a few years? Like that. ChatGPT is nothing. Okay. We need to be talking about what they are talking about. Anyway, we're just scratching the surface here. We're scratching the surface of a mountain. Okay. Um, And what I want to do here, we're going to talk about those things, but maybe not you, I have to start talking about these things through a lens of not just positivity. Okay. What even is positivity with no real hope, right? So I have to start looking at what reality is through the lens of hope. And the only way that I know how to do that is through Jesus. Okay. I am a Christian. I am a Catholic. The only hope that we have here, like to fully embrace and look forward to, is Jesus in heaven. So I'm going to be trying to work on how to live in this world where we have all of these other things to think about and still live in the world where things are normal, right? Like everybody thinks things are normal. Um, and cause like I'm a mom and I gotta coach soccer and go to work and pack lunches and stuff like that, like, so I can't be in conspiracy land and in doom land all the time. I need to start thinking about what does this mean for us? What do we need to be thinking about now? How does looking through the lens of what Jesus said this world would be like, um, looking through the lens of scripture, looking through the lens of just Christianity in general, our worldview, our outlook on things. How does that change our view? How does that change our perspective on what we believe is really happening versus what we're told is happening? So, I'm not going to be going into a lot of the specifics and details on the actual conspiracies. Okay, even though I'm personally very interested in that and I consume that stuff all the time and I'm invested in searching for the truth about anything that's going on around here. But I don't have the time to do really good research and bring anything new, to the table or like prove anything new or anything like that. So I'm not going to be doing that. And everybody already has their favorite sources. There's tons of great creators on those things. You can find literally anything you want. But we will talk about them, just not, we won't do whole shows on the details of these stories. So again, my main problem is that it's lonely and it's stressful. It can be stressful. It can like add stress to your life, to be thinking about these things all the time. And um wondering what am I supposed to be doing with this information? Um, I have been so tempted so many times to allow the immense evil that I've perceived in the world to overshadow the goodness in my life. Because some of these questions, like, could people really have done these things to each other? It really gotten away with them and really made us believe that this other thing happened. The enormity of some of these questions can make it seem as if the details of your life or the events or tasks of your life are insignificant, like they're just not important. And that is so not true. That's what your life is, what you're called to. So we can't let these things overshadow what we have in our lives. Like I said, I can't be normal. I can't like stop thinking and talking about these things. I just don't have it in me. I have tried. Okay. I have really tried to just be normal, but I just can't. And honestly, I don't have that many people in my real life that want to talk about any of this or want to even know about it. So, if that's you, I totally feel that. It's the best to find somebody in real life who gets it and who you can say like, "You think those clouds are real?" And they're like, "No, those are chemicals." And you're like, "Yeah, okay, that's the best, but we don't all have that." So I've been relying a lot on my internet people who think the same way that I do, to make me feel like I'm not alone. So that's been really helpful for me. But I think so often, and I tend to think deeply about what these things mean, and I need to understand not just what it was or what it is, but what it will be. What does it mean for us? Should we be surprised about it? Should we be surprised that everyone is so evil and that everyone lies constantly about everything? Maybe not. Maybe Jesus always told us that it would be this way. But how do we deal with it? How do we deal with it spiritually, mentally, emotionally? All the alleles. Okay. How do we take all this in and continue to thrive ourselves as people? The next question is a little bit deeper, is not just what does it mean, but like what is the point? As in, what is the point of our existence? Right? That's where all the questions go when you take them far enough. I don't think that this time or the fact that we exist in it is random. So it must have a purpose. I think that we were made for this time, and there's a reason for that. And maybe we don't really know what that is yet, but we just have to keep going and keep listening to what God's trying to tell us and how, how he wants to use us. I think a lot of people think that our purpose here on earth is to live happy, easy lives and to follow our hearts. I hate that phrase so much. If anyone from my real life ever sees these videos and hears me say that, they'll be like, yeah, that's for sure. That's not AI. That's for sure Cassie. My name is Cassie, by the way. Okay. So our purpose here is not to live a happy, easy life. And honestly, I have felt this for so long. I always think like, how many thousands of years in human history did people live in ways that we would look at and be like, "Oh my gosh, that would be so hard." Like, I would never like, people think they would not survive if they didn't have air conditioning and indoor plumbing and all those things. Grocery stores, okay, that would be tough. That we would have to figure that one out at this point for sure. We're all pretty locked into that system. But anyway, I always think like this life that we've made here in this time, this is 2026, is so soft. Like, it's so easy. And I know not everywhere in the world is in this state, but in the United States, that is how it is, just soft. Even our poorest people still have so much more money than the people in other countries, in other places, or, you know, have different cultures and lifestyles. Like, we just have all of these conveniences and comforts. And I just always think, how much longer can this go? Humans ruin everything, right? We just do. We just tend to be like, oh, this was such a good thing, but now I'm gonna misuse it and I'm gonna abuse the system for myself, and then it'll be ruined for everyone. And I'm just like, how much longer can we go with the way that we're going, where everyone is binging Netflix always? And I don't know. It just does to me, it just doesn't make sense, honestly. It doesn't make sense to me that this will that this lifestyle that we have will continue, because I feel like it will be ruined by someone at some point. But who knows? I don't know. Anyway, it's not the point anyway. My point is, I believe the point of our existence is to get to heaven at the end of our lives and live happy forever there with God. So there are ways that he told us, that are gonna get us there at the end of our lives. And if we're looking at the world and our situation through that lens, then we have a completely different situation to think about. This is not just doom and gloom. This is not just temporal suffering. This is our existence in a time with a purpose. And we're here together for a purpose. Um, and I don't know exactly what that means yet, but I do believe that it's intentional that we're all here and that we can look through this lens when considering the world at this point and what we're supposed to do while we're here. Um, Jesus did not promise an easy life. He never said that was going to be the way it was here on earth, but he did say that he'd be with us. So we have to trust, we have to believe that. And he is still the most powerful person in the world, no matter what Bill Gates thinks, right? And also, one of my favorite things, there are so very many examples of just regular people like you and me who, when they were living on this earth or when they were dying, in a lot of these cases for martyrs, when they were here, they were showing the world the highest heights of human love and forgiveness and courage and strength. And what the world would have said should have been their weakest and darkest moments. There's so many of those stories to highlight and to give us hope and to give us strength and courage too, for whatever we have to face. I always pray that God would prepare me for whatever's coming next, right? Because we don't know what that's going to be. And I tend to always think it's going to be, something bad. But it's not coming through here. But I am an optimist. I'm a very optimistic person. But anyway, um, yeah, but I just have all these dark thoughts that I don't know what to do with. So I guess I'm not going to cut that out. But it's a weird way to introduce myself to you guys. So anyway, God has not stopped making saints. They still will be coming. They're living right now, and there are so many examples for us to look to in whatever it is that we will have to be doing. And that's kind of one of the points of making them into, canonized capital S saints, is that so we will hear their stories and we will be encouraged by them. Okay, another thing, kind of along with the AI tech advances, whatever else is coming. I believe there is a time coming where we are going to have to make a choice. Like, as in, we're going to have to choose to remain fully human. That's all. I don't really know, aside from like, is someone going to try to convince me to put a brain chip in me? Are my kids in their lifetimes going to be offered a chance to become half robot? Or like, are they gonna tell us that it basically will be um like weak to stay fully human, and that we need to uh join with some kind of tech that's gonna enhance our humanity? That's probably how they'll frame it: enhance your humanity or enhance your whatever. But really what it will be taking away your humanity. And I just think that's coming. I have no solid basis for that other than kind of reading the room. Um, and I'm going to have to teach my kids to value their humanity and to not fall for whatever they're going to promise, to change it. And we're going to have to keep our wits about us if we're going to keep waking up in the 2020s, every day. Like, that's the next 5 years, next 4 or 5 years. Just think about how different the world could be by then. I mean, the next 1, 2 years. And honestly, it makes me tired thinking about it. I think that's what they want. I think they want me to be tired, but I'm not fired up about this stuff. We just live in such an insane timeline, It's like decades are happening inside of a year, 6 months. That's what it feels like to me. I think that's part of the thing. Like, they want to overwhelm our senses and overwhelm our ability to think these really big, important questions all the way through and have a well-informed opinion about it that we can articulate to someone else. Because there's just so much to talk about, and it's so divisive that nobody wants to talk about any of it. But I do. So I'm gonna. It can be very frustrating and lonely to be in that spot. To feel like you're the only one who sees through some of this stuff or cares about it or cares about the consequences or what they mean. And so I'm going to just invite you guys, whoever's actually seeing this, to join me in figuring out how we're going to keep going through this time and how we're going to start linking up these thoughts with and our thoughts and our concerns, right? And like the things that scare us and worry us. How are we going to link these up with our eternal life worldview? Okay. That's what I want to do. We're going to figure out how to go through our stages of grief together. It took me a little while to realize that, but I am pretty sure I went through a grieving process for what I thought this world was and what I found out that it was, especially in the last year or two. It just really, really became obvious to me who is really in charge and what their goals are and what they're working with. Because they're not working with people, that's for sure. They have other intents, and it just seems like they're never stopped. It seems like they have a one-way ticket to all the things they want to do, and the rest of us just have to sit around here seeing it and then fighting about it. And I'm over that. So, if you want to join me, please subscribe and you'll see the next ones that I put out. And then if you want other people to join, please like so that it gets shared, because I have absolutely no idea how YouTube shares brand new creator videos. But I have a lot on my mind, so we're going to find out. I plan on being here for a good while. I do want to leave you with one verse from the Bible. It is the end of our gospel reading at Mass today, John chapter 10. Jesus is telling the Pharisees about how he is the gate to heaven, and they're not understanding. He's using the analogy of sheep, and they're not understanding what he's saying. So he spells it out for them at the end, and he says, "I am the gate, and whoever enters by me will find pasture. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." I know it's hard to trust sometimes that everything is really going to be okay, and not only for you but for your kids, for your families and their future. Um, but we have to trust, and I have always said that the only way we're going to do that is if we have people who are with us, who are trying to do the same thing. So anyway, this was really scary and really fun. So I hope I see you next time.